Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, March 13th, 2023. I'm Jane Johnston with the Bar Hill Group with Remax Camosun. I'm here with...
Hey, good morning, everybody. And I'm Andrew Plank with Royal LePage, and it's so good to see you.
How are you? How was your week?
It was a good week. And yeah, good week. Been pretty busy. Out showing properties, got some listings coming up, and got away this weekend to Salt Spring, which is nice to get away for, even for just one overnight.
Awesome. You know, a change is as good as a rest.
Yes. I feel deja vu. I feel like that we had the same conversation recently. That same quote, which is awesome quote.
How was... Did you find that this weekend was busy real estate-wise, though?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not yet rocking so busy. That so busy you can't think kind of thing, which is never fun, but can reach those peaks at times. And I feel like that's maybe a month or two away for me, but it is coming. But it has felt like more phone calls are happening, more questions about properties, more showing requests, more lining things up.
Okay.
How
All
about
right.
you?
Yeah, we just seemed busy, like writing offers, reviewing offers. I'm not necessarily saying everything's going to come together.
Mhm.
So I do find sellers still are expecting this, and buyers want to come in here because they're
Mhm.
anticipating the market's going to go down. And we are down from last year, I think 10%. I do have a stat in here from BC Real Estate Association, but we're up over July of last year.
Mhm. Mhm. Yay.
There you go. Okay, let's do the stats.
Let's do the stats.
Let's do it, baby.
Which reminds me, I didn't actually. I'm going to pull up that stat we were talking about. So I'll do that in the background while we're talking about the other stats.
Alrighty. So I'm just going to take off this underlay from behind here. Sorry, we're trying to figure out how to make this work. Okay.
That looks great. That worked really well.
I do have the stats from this week, but they were not yet up from this morning when I did this. So I'll read them off my screen here.
Okay. Then you
So
do that.
last week we were at 66 unconditional sales. This week we're at 175. That's compared to 833 for last year in March. And last week we were at 181 new listings and 408 this week. That's compared to 1,217. So we're down.
You keep talking. I'm going to work. You remember that one we were working on last week?
Yeah.
I didn't do my homework. I'm just going to pull it up really quick.
Okay. Active listings were at 1,185, and that's compared to 1,063 for March of last year. So we are down compared to last year. And list to sale ratio is 175 to 408. So we're just under about 50%. So we're not doing too bad. Okay, so let's go to the next one. And I'm having technical difficulties today, folks.
Okay.
It's me.
Well, why don't I see if I can present this slide or this screen? Exposure trends. There we are.
So funny.
Not the one.
We have a new guest today, Sam, and she's laughing in the background. I can see her.
Yes.
We are just having difficulty. Okay, awesome. I love these graphs. Okay, go ahead.
So this is a new graph we're going to be experimenting with, and this is showing a year's history, but we can dive into actually the last month, for example, and so forth. I don't have the last weeks on this one, but we just want to give you an example of what we're going to be doing every month.
So that's interesting, looking at the top left, like the inventory, seeing how many more expireds are up at the end of last year.
Yes. So the expireds are the red line here. And you can see back last year, there were very few expireds. They started to increase, meaning that the properties were not selling as much. And actually, the line's gotten a little thinner in the last month, but it was really thick there in December.
So in inventory supply, it looks like it's following normal trends with a bump in the spring and the fall, and decline in the winter, and we're moving up again.
Yeah, inventory line would be this one.
Yep.
And then the actual pending sales are also starting to bump up. Sorry, that's these this line here.
The dark gray.
Yeah. So
Okay,
that's
so
pretty interesting. Yeah.
what do we have below there? Current and previous.
This is units closed. And this is the number of units closed. And then current month versus previous year.
Cool.
So we have
Current month
more
is
units
red.
closed than last year, but we had very little inventory last year.
Current is red, so we have less units
Sorry,
closed.
oh, pardon me. Yes, less than last year.
Okay.
I
And
read
we
left to right. I don't know why that would. Anyway, good enough.
okay.
So, and then of course over here we've got 422 units were sold in February 2023, and this is in the Greater Victoria Board. Closed 700 and something listed, 102 expired, and 422 units pending. Anyway, we'll be doing this. I'll dial this in for a week, some weekly stats. We'll try to find some weekly stats using similar metrics. But this was just to show you what we'll be doing for the month.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
Going back to our previous slide. Go ahead.
We are. Okay, so March 13th on the right, 229 new listings in the last week. 108 properties went pending, so just under half of the new listings number equivalent. 60 price decreases, that's a pretty significant number of price decreases. 3 properties back on market, 27 properties expired unsold. And that, comparing to the week before, similar number of new listings, exactly the same number of properties went pending, similar number of price decreases, same number back on market. Sold's always, there's a higher number when you're at the beginning of the month. And expireds, many more expireds, but also because it's around the first of the month, and a lot of people with their listing contracts just have them expiring at the first of the month.
Yeah, so almost week to week, it's almost similar. It's almost very identical.
Pretty much parity, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And just remember, we are always going to be a few days behind because of number one, the recession period of 3 days, but also 3 business days. So we're going to be at least 3 to 5 days behind new listings and pendings. Pendings and solds.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And every agents won't be posting the sales until they've got deposit in hand and they know that the recession period is passed, even if the property's already quote sold.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
All right. So I got an email this morning from the BCREA regarding their take on the market. So they said that there's a decrease of 46.5%. This is across the board, across the province compared to February 2022. And the average residential price was down at 941. This is down 14.7% compared to over 1.1 million last year. And so then they start this off. And so I'm thinking, oh boy, that's awful, right? And then I go to the next slide and it says home sales rose month over month in most markets. So this is where we are compared to February. And prices appear to be firming up in the face of low supply. And our average price is up 8.5% month over month since last July. So
the average MLS price. I mean, I think we're still down we're definitely still down from our peak, which would have been last March. April.
March, yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay though. Like I thought that was pretty good. That to me shows a fairly robust market. I mean, I think everyone asks, what's happening? When's the market gonna collapse? I'm like, well, it's already kind of deflated.
Deflated, yeah. And the thing is, and this is what I've been seeing and hearing and feeling, is that things are firming up. They're not firm. It's not actually, it was interesting because I received a newsletter from one of our colleagues recently, and it said the newsletter actually, in terms of the temperature of the market, was claiming that we're back in a seller's market, which I thought that was a little bit optimistic. But the fact is things are firming up, and it is a better time for sellers than it has been for some time. But that doesn't mean that we're absolutely, really busy, and that buyers are jumping over themselves to get at properties.
There was a listing that I went to see on the weekend. It was very nice. However, it had a lot of noise from the highway, and they had 4 offers on it. But
Mhm.
it was a beautiful listing. It was owned by a realtor, so not surprising. It showed very well.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And in other news, this is interesting. We now have EV chargers in our search for our
Searchable
matrix.
fields in the matrix system. I
Yeah.
saw that come up and I thought, you know, it when I've got a client looking for an EV charger, a property that has EV charging, I don't know that I would trust this field, because as much as I love my colleagues, they don't always fill everything in, and it's not always filled in properly. I mean, we really try throughout the MLS and on our board to have everything as accurate as possible. I don't want to talk down on my colleagues, but the more granular we get, the harder it is to get correct.
Yeah.
I think
Agreed.
it's a great move. I'm just saying, I usually try to have my property searches for clients a little wider field.
And, this is something you can check out anyway. With the Form B, they do have your parking stall on there, so you can go down and just eyeball it. So,
Mhm.
although interestingly, I helped a client last week um, purchase a condo, and when when I was looking for the parking spot, they're like,
Yeah. You still recovering, Jane?
yes, but it's funny. It's like, it's parking spot 63. However, don't go to the lower parking lot, which is also has a 63. That's the wrong one. Go to the right one and up here. And I was like, oh my God, this is like faulty towers.
It's
So
a little confusing. Ministry of Silly Walks time.
it was the Ministry of Silly Walks. But anyway, okay.
Okay. Well,
All right.
and so that's, I mean, speaking, so if you go into an underground parkade and you see a couple of EV chargers, because we're going to be looking around at these things, it's a good time to do further investigation and maybe check the bylaws and see what the rules are for getting things hooked up. I have a client bought one unit recently, and we could see that there was already one charger installed for a specific spot. So we looked into, what are the rules? Can we, and yes, if they pay for it themselves, they can move a service into place.
And the value of that is anywhere from, I'd say, five to $15,000.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
depends if there's even infrastructure available and so forth. Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
Okay, so we're going to actually have our new guest come on today. So this is Sam Plover,
Hi,
and Sam
Sam.
is from QiPro. QiPro Sam is the name of your company. So tell us about you, Sam.
All right. Well, thank you. I've so loved watching all those stats. I was peering in and I wasn't laughing at you, Jane. I was laughing with you because I love it when technology goes wrong. So I'm QiPro Sam and I'm trained in Chinese metaphysics. And I'm really excited to be here today because one of the areas I work in is real estate. However, I'm not a realtor like either of you. I add a whole entirely different layer. And it's not actually the art of furniture placement. Feng Shui in real estate is the art of timing and understanding where the money is and how to access it, how to activate it, and how to get top dollar for my clients. So it's a very interesting area. I'm trained in the 5 Chinese arts from many of my Chinese masters. And I'm trained in Batsa, Qimendanja, which is strategy on business negotiations, Chinese face reading, Mianxiang, and I'm a Sifu in Tai Chi. So there's a lot to me.
Amazing.
How did you get into that?
You know what? It was when my children were younger. Like any parent, I volunteered with lots of things, as you do. And I would often watch these very intelligent people in these committees and PACs and all the things we were involved in constantly argue or constantly not get the grant, or just things just seem to surface and be problematic. And I thought, well, it's not them because they're smart people. Individually, there's 10 people there that are really got it going on. What's wrong? They must be affected by something. So that made me think about the environment. So I picked up a book called Feng Shui for Dummies, which I do not recommend. Please don't go buy it. But it was my first read, and it was a fun read. And about halfway through, I thought, this is great, but this book isn't. Sorry, whoever wrote that book, but it's not. It's not correct. So it made me want to learn. So then I started sourcing real Feng Shui, Asian Feng Shui, Eastern Feng Shui, and the path just went from there. And I met a wonderful Asian master who took me under her wing and mentored me. And then it just went from there. And I think I'm someone that believes in multiple lives. I must have been Chinese in the past because it just all made sense to me. And I quickly became a lecturer with the school that trained me. And I've been in this business for 12 years and I absolutely love it.
Excellent.
Interestingly, I had a client who the husband was Chinese and the wife was Caucasian, and they had a Feng Shui master that they worked with, and he would come in and do the Feng Shui and look at their energy and figure out how they fit into the house. And what was interesting was she apparently had an Asian energy, and he had a kind of Caucasian energy. And so where they were in the house and how the house worked was always opposite. It was interesting to me.
That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah, there's so many layers to that, and it's so true. And people worry when they're actually opposites, when they're a couple. That's quite normal. You don't have to worry about that. But that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what I do. And technically, I am a master. I just don't use the title because I'm not one for titles. I'm just QiPro Sam. But that's what we do is when we're looking at a home, when I preview, and I was listening to you on the weekend, what you were doing. And on my weekend, I had one offer go solid and one of my clients, we walked away from the deal because we didn't like it. So what I'm doing with real estate is aligning my clients to the home in a different way. For example, if we had a mutual client, you're going to find them the house based on their specs. And that's your expertise you bring to the table. When I come in to join you and I just support everyone, I don't override anyone, but when I'm supporting, I'm looking at what the client needs. If they're a young family wanting to have children, maybe they're entrepreneurs, maybe they're big CEOs or C-suite people, they need different things from their homes energetically. And I will align them to the home that will give them their desired results. And also investment. I'm always looking for investment, just like you are. We need our clients to get their money back. This is an investment.
It needs to have, it needs to cash flow.
It needs to cash flow, and it doesn't have to make millions, but it's got to at least hold because it's the biggest investment we're all making, right?
Something you said, Sam, caught my attention, and it sounds like when I think of a Feng Shui, I think of someone coming in and aligning furniture or putting up mirrors and checking the address and checking the siting, and and there's a lot of elements to it. But you said something too, which struck my ear, and it's about helping them align to the house. Do you actually do some work on the people themselves as well as the house to bring them together?
Ultimately, yes. Ultimately, the best situation is when my clients are existing. So I already know them. I know their Batsa, which is Chinese astrology. So I know their birth charts and I know exactly where they are in their lives. Okay. If this is a thriving time for them, if this is a challenging time for them, and what they need from their environment. So yes, it's complete matchmaking at its best.
Right.
And for example, the job I was doing on Saturday was up north, and these clients, it's our fourth house we're looking for, and I hate it when I put thumbs downs. But this one was okay. This one's not bad. We can work with this one, but we're going to have to renovate. I need you to open up the kitchen. I need you to do this. And they're like, yeah, we're in. Put the offer in, but they got beat out by a multiple offer. They're in second position, but they decided to walk away. Mm-hmm. But what I was doing for them is I know that he travels a lot. He travels across Canada all the time. So the house did support that. It showed him as continually traveling. Wealth was available. The investment was medium. I felt that all the renovations, they weren't going to get all their money back, but they'd be happy living there. And for them, that was important. Another client, he's a CEO, constantly traveling in Europe. His house needs a whole different set of energy. So what I do for him is work out that he's able to manage his teams, that his home office is in the right place, and that he's spending time and working with his teams and doing board meetings when they come to the house in the right place. So that's what so it's not furniture arrangement, it's energy Wi-Fi. It's tapping into Wi-Fi.
Energy Do you find Wi-Fi. That some people naturally have it and some people don't? Like I had a friend who was studying it, and she came to my home, and she was staying here while I was away. And she's like, oh, your house is naturally feng shui. I was like, what does that mean?
It means the chi is flowing. So we've all walked into homes, especially with the job that the both of you do, but anyone listening, you've walked into a friend's home and it's not the biggest home. It's not the best home. It doesn't have the best furniture. And yet you love it. That's
It
where
feels
we'll
like,
go and have a conversation, because you feel good there. You're responding to the chi that's there. It's productive. It's good. We've walked into homes that are stunning, right? They're stunning, but you're like, oh, just don't want to be here. And it's a difficult sell, or it keeps selling. When a house keeps selling, there's your indication the chi flow is off. So really, chi flow is Wi-Fi. So Jane, what's probably happening in your house, if you probably have an instinctive feel to it when something feels good and you just follow that. And I would say your home is probably open. It's not a rabbit warren of rooms. It's bright. It's light. From what I can see behind you, there's lots of light, and chi loves light. Good, So Wi-Fi is understanding, just like when we walk around and we've got our phone, and we want to download a video. So we go to the part of our home where the Wi-Fi connection is strong, so we can stream fast. If we're in the kitchen or something and it keeps, that little spinning wheel keeps coming, we get frustrated. Feng Shui is the same as that. There are parts of the home that the energy will be strong and productive, and parts that aren't. And my job is to identify them and to mediate and to smooth them out and make sure everything's flowing in the right way to the homeowner.
maybe bring in a Wi-Fi repeater.
Yeah, sometimes actually that's kind of what it is. I do something in one part of the house to affect something in another. It's like saying you've cut your hand and it's infected, and the doctor doesn't give you cream, he gives you an antibiotic that you swallow.
Right.
So you're not touching this, but you're going to fix it. It's the same thing with Feng Shui.
So Feng Shui, Feng is wind, Shui is water.
Yes.
Qi is like air and energy.
Qi is life's breath. So we say that qi rides the wind and is settled and dispersed in water. So water becomes very important in Feng Shui. Yeah.
And so how do people connect with you?
The best way to sort of learn about me is to have fun on my website, QiProSam.com, because I've got lots of free information out there. And because as I moved to Victoria last year and real estate has suddenly taken off for me, it wasn't an area I worked in massively, and it's become very big. So I'll develop an area on the website for that. But I would go to my website, download the free information. I do a monthly podcast. I do monthly QiCast, which is forecasting for people. And there's lots of ways to contact me from the site. But have fun on there, because understanding that Feng Shui is a layer, and it's great. If the Feng Shui of your home is good, it doesn't matter what the color of your walls are. It doesn't matter what your countertops are. None of that stuff matters. It's the chi flow and the fact that you are connecting to the house in a positive way.
I have a question. Like, do you find that, are there any people who are feeling off that connect with you and then they feel different after, like they
Yes.
feel the shift?
Yes, every time. It's something I want. My sort of funny tagline is that once you have a Sam, you'll wonder how you ever got along without one. And it's a bit cheeky, but it came back because it's what people started saying to me. So I started using it, and it's very true. So once someone like myself, who's very highly trained in Chinese metaphysics on many different levels, I'm very good at moving the chi, especially because I'm a Tai Chi, Sifu, and martial arts as well. So when people connect with me, whether it's online, by phone, or in person, I will start to affect their chi in a positive way, because I'm very much a half glass full person. And I will bring things to the surface for them. So there can be a bit of a bump there, because sometimes people are hiding things and they always say, oh, everything's fine, Sam. I just thought I'd hire you. I'm like, nobody hires me just for the fun of it. There's a reason here. So let's put it on the table and deal with it. So once we do that, I give people permission to accept that sometimes it's not their fault. They're not doing bad things. It's just a moment in time, because our lives are timed. And just like it's a perfect time to sell a home in the market, on your point of view, I can also look at a home and see when it's a perfect time to sell it, when you're going to get optimum value, and when it's a time when just don't even try to sell it, it's going to be problematic. So why do that? So when people do connect with me on a personal level, I love to work with their Batsa, which is Chinese astrology, and that helps them a lot. They start to understand who they are, and that gives them confidence, especially with the 2 years we've been in, which has been hard, right? We've had a hard go of it.
Really? Yeah.
And financially, I'm concerned for, I'm advising a lot of clients to be careful, because I know the market is picking up, but we were just chatting before you might bring it up about what's been occurring in the States, and there will be a fallout from that. There will be a domino effect.
There's always a fallout. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we're always waiting for that larger event that, we can talk about the the micro market, what's happening here, but when you look at the macro events in the world, you also have to take those into account.
And I've never felt the markets are going to crash. You touched on it in your opening there. I've never felt they're going to crash. I've just felt we've needed that readjustment, and I'm happy to see it to some degree because it was out of whack. I mean, I sold my house when the markets were high. Yay! But I felt bad in a sense. I mean, it was great for me, but it wasn't great for other people.
You had a good advisor.
Yeah, I did. Well, I mapped out when to sell the house.
Exactly.
But I do think we're going to have an adjustment. I do want people to be careful and not overextend themselves because we're not out of the woods yet financially. We've got a ways to go.
It's interesting. I'm perceived on the weekend something. I think that the next line of people to sell will be elderly people because the cost of living is so high, and they will need to free up some equity.
I totally agree. I think we've also got a shift to downsizing, and I think we've got a shift to people are thinking differently about real estate. It still can be a great investment, absolutely, but
I think people are thinking differently. I know for myself, I'm thinking differently about all aspects of my finances. Like what are we doing in terms of are we choosing to eat out versus making sure we cook a meal at home? Are we oh, that's a really nice piece of clothing. That looks really great. Maybe we should wait on buying that though. Yeah, Jane, you look great.
Yes.
But, making those decisions and, if more and more people are sort of making those decisions, it does have a trickle on effect as well. But we're all looking at, higher costs of gas, higher costs of mortgage and higher costs of food and everything else. So I think people are starting to look at that, and it's finally making them think, what should I do to make these changes?
And I think some of that isn't bad. I mean, there are some people that are going to be caught out. I think we've got, like you said, the seniors who are adjusting their income, their daily living costs. I think we've also got some people that bought high and, overextended, and that might come back to pinch them a little bit. For the first time ever, I'm renting. I've never done this before, ever. I've always owned. But I moved here and I'm renting and I gave up my car. And it wasn't, because I was financially destitute. It was the best financial move for me to do right now. I'm in the heart of a city, don't need a car sitting in a garage all day. And I'm loving my rental, and I've put my money elsewhere. And I'm just
watching. It's a very freeing experience.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. That's not right for everyone. And I do still believe in real estate investment. I do. But I think our mind is changing and how we share things is changing. So it's going to be a very interesting 5 years, I think.
And this is one of the things, and I think Jane would agree with this too, is when we're working with clients, we do work with clients who come to us when they've made the decision to buy a home. And sometimes we're consulting with people who are saying, maybe I should buy a home, or I'm just in the starting phase. But it's not always about buying a home. And sometimes if you buy a home before you're actually emotionally ready, you really know what you want. Sometimes you do need to sit there in a space in the city, figure out who you are, what you are. Maybe you've been through a change. There's been a divorce or a separation or a family, like some sort of loss, some sort of financial loss, job. You might need to figure out who you are before you actually figure out where you're going to be. And I find actually the best thing ever is to rent for a while and just lick your wounds and circle back and bolster yourself so that you're strong when you're ready to take action.
Lots of middle-aged women go through that. And I think it's empty nest syndrome happening a bit. And then they're trying to find who they are again, and they move around, and, we have to have a conversation about what are you really wanting out of your life?
Yeah.
Because it's so expensive to move many times. So, you try and shuffle them back into, listen, let's do some internal work here.
Well, there was that talk too, and Sam, you probably would be experiencing this with a lot of people, but there's I just talking to a client she's trying to get her parents over here. Parents are living in a 5,000 square foot home, and they're going to have to downsize. I mean, they're elderly and some health issues, and they're going to have to downsize, but they don't want to give up this 5,000 square foot home and all of their belongings, and yet it's just something they really eventually have to do. We work with a lot of people who they could do very, very well in a 1,200 square foot home.
Yeah.
But they don't know it yet.
No. Well, I totally agree with two things that both of you said that I'm on fire with right now, because I am that person that moved here by myself now, a life change, did exactly what you're saying. I thought I need to assess. And I'm loving that. And I don't know where I'm going to go. I mean, I'm going to stay here in Victoria, but I don't know if I'm going to buy. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm enjoying the freedom of exploring. And Jane, you said something about, people are really examining where they are. That is actually crucial. So what's happening for me on the real estate side of things is we're changing a period of time. This whole market shift is matching energetically what's occurring. And people are this year, they're going to struggle a little bit because we're going to awaken to what we really want to do, what's really important, and what we want our lives to look like. So if anyone's listening and thinking, oh, I'm not sure, it's okay. Mm-hmm. It's exactly what you should be feeling right now. It's okay to not be sure. Trust your realtor. Listen to what they're telling you about the investment, what the market's doing, and take your time. No rush, because I know that some multiple offers are coming up again in the ones I was working on. And I'm like, whoa, let's just hold on. What is our top dollar we're prepared to pay? I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to hold you back from going.
Nothing worse than working with people. I mean, for me, it's heartbreaking working with people who are panic buying, or they don't really know what they want. And I actually have a poem that I share with people that talks about, until you're committed, until you know what you're looking for, you're not going to really recognize it, and the world's you're not going to be successful. And it can be really, really hard working with people who don't know what they want. And then they're the people who call you a year later saying, I'm not happy here. And
I love it when people say, I'm going to be really hard to work with because I know what I want. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I think we can also balance that with people think they know what they want, but they don't. And you know this, you take, I remember going with one client last year. We worked for like 9 months. Now he's a very specific client, he's a very good friend as well. And I had him holding, and I kept saying, hold the line, hold the line, hold the line, hold the line. No, your timing's wrong. And then we pounced when the time was right. But it was tough, and he didn't know what he wanted. And I did. And I said, no, you want this, but I knew we were going to end up over here. So I just had to wait and sort of coast him along. And then we're like, okay, now it's good.
There's a horrible saying in real estate that Jane and I learned when we first got into the market.
Buyers are liars?
Buyers are liars. And it's a horrible, horrible saying. And, but what it really means, because from some jaded realtor's perspective, it might mean that, buyers never tell you the truth. But what it really means is that people don't always know themselves. And that, when we take them at face value and they say, I want this, and you go and help them find it, and you find it for them over and over and over again, win after win after win, and they're not taking action. Right. You really need to stop and sit down and say, okay, you know what? What's going on here? What is it you really, really are after? Because we found you what you on the surface told us you want. Yeah. But it doesn't seem like that's what you want. So what's holding back? What's going on here?
Or conversely, they're looking at one thing and then they like A, and then they see B, and you're like, why are we here?
Yeah, what's going on? Why are we buying B when you said A? Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's a great conversation for us too, because that's sometimes where I come in, because I'm unemotional. So you create that relationship with your client. It becomes very close. You become very good friends in that period of time, right? You're spending a lot of time together, a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, and it becomes quite emotional. And you're able to keep your professional hat on, but your client's running the full emotional gamut. So that's what I love when I come in too, because I'm not emotionally attached to either. I'm not doing your job. I'm not the client, but I can come in and say, actually, Jane, I know that your client, Mrs. Smith here, has said she wants this, but could you look for this? Because this is actually what she's looking for. So it adds an unemotional layer that also brings validity. And sometimes it helps the client. Like the client the other day said, oh my God, I'm so glad you did that, because I had this other house in mind. And I'm like, yeah, but remember that bad boyfriend you had? And then you kept picking the same one. And I had to step in and stop you from dating for a while because you just picked what you knew. You're doing the same with a house, but you want your life to be different. So you want to change, you have to make a change. And sometimes it really helps. It's tough, right? Because people pick the same things. If they're in a bad position, I don't let them choose their house.
People will choose what's familiar to them over what's right.
Yes. And we're all like that, right? Yeah. We do it. We're human. I'm no different from anyone else. But sometimes we have to help sort of funnel them a certain way, but it's still their call. It's their money, their life. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
So thank you, Sam, for coming on the show today. We are out of time. So how do people get in touch with you?
Well, you know what? You can, QiProSam.com is the best website to go to. You can also call me. I know you've put my number up there, so absolutely give me a call. I love to talk to new people. And just, if you have questions, just find me and I'm happy to answer any questions. And there's many more things I do other than real estate, but real estate is something I can really help people achieve the outcome they're looking for and make your job a lot easier, actually.
Excellent. Sam, could you actually just verbally tell us your phone number and email just for anyone who's
Of course, yes. So my phone number is 250-307-8689, and you can reach me by email at sam@QiProSam.com. So QiPro is QiProSam.com. Okay?
All right.
Thank
And
you.
she's also on Instagram at QiPro Sam.
Yes, and YouTube. I'm all over the place.
I'm going to get on there and follow you right away.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's lovely.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much, Sam. Shusha.
Sheshe.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks so much. That was fun.
Andrew, how do people reach you?
Yeah, reach out. I'm at 250-360-6106. Email is info@andrewplank.com. Website, andrewplank.com. Been doing a bit of a revamp on it, nothing major, but you can find episodes of the show and blog posts and other useful information. And then Plank Andrew is my Instagram. Come check it out.
Okay, awesome. If you want to reach me, I'm Jamie Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. My number is 250-744-0775. You can reach me at briarhillgroup@gmail.com. Visit my website at briarhillgroup.com. And we're also on Facebook we have our own website, victoriarealestateshow.com, where you can watch these videos and more about neighborhoods in Victoria. Follow me at Realty Teacher Remax Victoria. All right. And don't forget, we're on every Monday morning. So we just want to say, please subscribe. We'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. And Jean, good work on the upgrade on the visuals. I think, maybe some tweaks, but it looks so much better. I love it. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so next week I am away. I'm visiting family, so it'll be Andrew with a guest.
Okay. All right.
We'll tell you what's going on. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us about real estate in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Have a great week, Jane.
You too.
See you later.